afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Mow Show, the first E-Town Mow Show ever, and I think we've got the best possible guest for the first edition, and that is the one and only Liam Fletcher.
Ladies and gents,
Thank you very much. So, we're going to be asking some questions, finding out his true favourites of the game, some of his favourite matches, what teams he's played for, and leave a couple of Facebook questions at the end as well. So, we'll start off. What age were you when you made your first appearance as an Earlstown player?
it was probably about 12 years of age, and but 2 years prior to that, I was dragged over because I was throwing bricks at them to get me training. But obviously, I've changed since then.
Well, how old were you when you scored? Because you scored.
Yeah, well, I was scoring, but I was scoring probably when I was about 10 years of age, because we had
The seconds or the first?
I played second team cricket when I was 13, 14. So yeah, I was dragged over by Andy Swift, of all people. And just as I was launching a 3v2 at him, he said, "Why not come and play down here?" So it all started there.
We're not the only team that you've played for, are we? So you played for our first and seconds, and not most of our junior age groups. But you've had some appearances elsewhere. Where else have you played?
Yeah, we had a little venture down the old Grange in Warrington. Little spell at Lancs when I was half decent when I was young.
Yes.
Played with some amazing cricketers who's obviously moved on to 10 times better things than I did until. But the love of the game kept me going, and it's brought me back here.
Back to where you belong.
Yeah.
So, first proper question: your most memorable moment in cricket, and that doesn't have to be an E-Town answer, but your most memorable, something that somebody says when you play cricket. What's the one thing that springs to mind?
One thing that does spring to mind now you've asked that is back in our younger days, when we beat the famous Newton Willows Cricket Club as under 15s.
Yes.
After Anthony Barlow tried his hardest to make that not happen.
It's probably my favourite. That's my most memorable. Yeah.
The likes of me, you, Mike Dudley, Danny Goulding, all gone on to better things, obviously.
Garto played, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
I'm sure Garto, but over my Simon Ellie.
We put it one way, we was massive underdogs that day, and they thought the roll was over, like Newton tend to think we do with everybody, but we put them in the place, and it was a memorable victory.
Very, very much so, yeah. That's a great one. Alright, the next one. Best player you've ever played with? In the same team, this is. So.
I've played with some amazing players in Earlstown. Yourself, Carl. Ian McHugh was as good as anybody I've played with. Ian Turner, Sonny Ahmed, yeah. When I've been involved with Lancs as a young lad, Jimmy Anderson has got to be fucking top of the list there, and that.
The GOAT.
So yeah, but down here, there's so much players I could mention who have played with who's done different bits at different times and been amazing. So
okay then, well, with that in mind as well, possibly, what's the best game you've ever been involved in as a player?
Oh,
I know we've mentioned the most memorable, but what do you think's the best sort of complete and utter team performance? Any cup finals?
I was going to say we've had a few cup finals when I was a young lad. I recall one when I was at Sutton, when I've seen the team photo actually not long back and looked like a little dwarf in it.
Is that when you got a Wigan top on? Or was that
No, that was when I was scoring that.
Yeah.
I was actually playing in this game. So I think we had a lot of West Lancs Sunday finals, what we won. Obviously on Saturday cricket we was playing in a big standard, but one that I recall more than anything was done the 13s final at Orrell. I think we was the first team as under 13s to break ourselves down, and it was like the start of the young lads coming through, yourself, Anthony Woodier, Pritchard,
as well,
Dudley. We had it was like the start of a new generation sort of thing. So I think things like that I'm proud of more than a lot of things.
What about your favourite innings then, individually, like your best performance?
Well, my best performance was probably again as a young lad, really, when 120 not out to Wesley, I think it was.
Not out in, was that, yeah?
Not out in 20 overs as a young lad, 14 years of age. I mean, there's times where you've had to scrape for a draw at Lytham when I was 13, and having to pinch the strike off my coach for the last 20 overs against someone who just got 8 wickets. That was very proud moments to do things like that.
How old were you, 13 then?
I was 13, my coach was 54. Don't mention any names, but it was Steve Tom. So yeah, I was having to pinch the strike off him. I think I batted 22 overs for about 8 not out against quality bowler. So
well, that's good. Okay, you mentioned coaches there. I'm going to ask you next about who's the best captain you've played under. And again, that doesn't have to be specific. It might be an E-Town CC channel list, but we know there's cricket goes on around the borough.
I'll be honest. I'll be totally honest, and it is Carl Allen, the best captain I've played under. More
not just because you're in the Suzuki.
No, it's not because I'm in the Suzuki. Even though Suzuki is the best thing I've ever been in. But it's just his motivation, his willing to ask senior players like myself nowadays, and take the information on and work wonders with the players who probably not at the best at times, gets the best out of players, which is what a captain needs to do.
I think I'm in a luxury position at the moment because we've actually got a good proper players, talented cricketers, to probably more so than since I've ever taken over this job. It is probably without doubt the best group of players I've ever had to deal with.
Without a doubt, yeah.
If I can't win games of cricket with this group that we've got, then I want demoting pretty quickly, to be honest. Right, next question. We're famous for having lots of Daves at E-Town. So the question is, who's your favourite Dave?
Dave, to be fair, I was calling him manager Dave not long back, and he actually he was new starter. I just thought his name was Dave, and he came up to me and he said, "This is not my name. Dave's not my name." So
and he was your manager?
He was my manager, yeah. I'll be honest with you, if it weren't for a certain Dave Jenkins, I'd be still my kit. I wouldn't have anything in my kit. So and since he's given me his old bat, it's seen more runs than he's ever scored with it.
We thought it was a good until you got hold of it.
So it's got to be
Medium
Dave Jenkins, absolute legend, because he's one of the nicest lads, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, don't beat him up too much.
I was going to say, yeah.
Right, moving on. Who was your favourite international player? Who have you loved to watch the most over the years on the TV, and if we've made it live to Old Trafford or wherever? Who's your favourite international?
I think it's a bit of an easy one for me, that Freddie Flintoff. Watching him play as a youngster, and absolutely, you just wanted to be someone like that. Could hit a ball as good as he did. Bit of an all-rounder like myself.
I think there'll be a few when I ask that question.
He's not kept wicket like I did, like, but as well as bowling all them overs. But yeah, he's a bit of a legend, isn't he?
Very much so. Like him down here for a few games.
Yeah. He might reach boundary.
If we can get him on tour, which leads you to my next question. They go on tour every year. They've not made it for many years onto a tour, or if ever, perhaps.
Well, it might not have been allowed, really.
Well, yeah.
That's another.
So if you were allowed in 2022 to come on tour with the E-Town lot, what would be your favourite, money no object, what would be your favourite destination to go on tour?
Well, it's a dream of mine to go and play in Australia, go and watch England in Australia, or West Indies. So, I mean, I won't drink for weeks and weeks just to save the money to do this.
You could pay for everyone to go if that was the case.
So I'd absolutely love. It's like I say, it's a dream of mine to go and watch cricket in Australia, play cricket in Australia. So even if it's a little 5 days, so we'll make sure we got back safe. So we got banned.
Yeah, definitely will.
Yeah, that'll be a dream of mine. Yeah.
All right. Well, next question then. Speaking of islands, you're trapped on a desert island for a week. You can take 3 people. Who are they going to be? Living or dead? Famous or none?
Well, that's a bit of a tricky one, that, because I've got a lot of friends. But the 3 I would take is Steve Smolders from Welly, and tried to smooth talking him to let me back in.
Fair enough.
Joanne Duncar from the Griffin to try to let me back in.
There's a theme here, I think.
And then, according to form, I was in Southport last week and banned from Spoons, so Philippa from Spoons to let me back in. And I'd tell him how much of a nice lad I've turned into.
Well, you'd have a week to try and get back in the good books.
Well, yeah. And so, yeah, it'd be a bit of a challenge, like, but I always take a good challenge.
Well, that's what it's all about. Right, one of the last questions. As you know, as you've seen the pictures on social media, Hillstown's concentrated on trying to build up the new generation, so the next junior sections, and they've got fancy names this year, and not like when we were, it was under this and under that. The Dynamos and All Stars. What's the one piece of advice you'd give a junior now about playing cricket?
Just to go out and enjoy themselves. That's more than anything. Just going out and enjoy themselves. Listen to your coaches, and this Hillstown Cricket Club is an absolute generation now. To go enjoy yourself, and then you never know where it can take you. It's brought great memories for me. It's brought great memories for a lot of people.
Yeah, and me.
So it can bring a lot of memories to all families and young kids out there. So
well said. There was a couple of questions that came through on Facebook, not as many as I thought. And some of the ones that I can't ask you because you have to be after 9 o'clock for some of them. But one of the questions was, how many cans of lager to the mile do you do?
Oh, well, I'm seeing it's turned into a nice lad now. Probably not as many as it used to be.
Just about 10
So,
or something.
I've rounded it off about 12.
Steve O'Donnell wants to know: is there any such thing as the last orders with Liam Fletcher?
Yeah, when they get chucked out at 8.
And the last one, and I think I got this one right. How many Jaffa cakes can you fit in your mouth?
Well, for starters, I don't like Jaffa cakes, so that's not the best of questions. But I've tried this with digestive biscuits before.
You've actually tried it?
But this should also be after 9 o'clock.
Right, well,
So,
I think on that note, before we get banned off the air, that's the end of the Mow Show. The first one. Yes.
Thank you.
Legend.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in. And hopefully you can see that we've almost mowed the whole pitch whilst we've been doing this. So thank you very much. Nice one, Liam.
Cheers.